I'm Paul Perkins with the check of your ag weather. Our highs tomorrow are once again 15 degrees warmer than normal, in the mid-80s to around 90. Hazy skies continue in the west and central through tomorrow from the smoke of wildfires in Idaho and Wyoming, possibly impacting the air quality across the western areas. Low humidity and dry vegetation, keeping our fire weather concerns at elevated to near critical levels for at least the next week. Behind the passage of a cold front, highs cool into the mid-70s to the low 80s for Friday and Saturday. Another push of cooler air drops our highs into the 60s on Sunday. The coolest days are Columbus Day and Tuesday, with highs dropping into the mid-50s to the low 60s. A frost or freeze is likely Sunday night when lows dip into the low to mid-30s. Some areas could see their first hard freeze on Monday night as lows cool into the upper 20s to the low 30s. The cool down is short-lived, with highs returning back to the 70s by late next week. In a slight revision of the long-term forecast, Nebraska and Kansas temperatures are mostly seasonal early next week before a quick return to those warmer than normal temperatures late next week through October 22nd. Nebraska and Kansas rainfall Monday through October 22nd continues at below normal levels. Key weather factors driving the markets include most of the U.S. staying dry, Hurricane Milton moving into Florida, and increasing wet season rainfall in central Brazil. Most of the U.S. is dry the next 5 days, favoring harvest in the plains and Midwest, but not the wheat establishment. The exception to the dry weather is showers that are likely across the Great Lakes to New England through early next week. Warmer than normal temperatures in the western and central U.S. contrast with somewhat cooler weather in the east. Hurricane Milton is packing maximum sustained winds of 155 miles per hour, moving to the northeast at 16 miles per hour. Milton is expected to reach the central Florida Gulf Coast tonight as a major hurricane at Cat 3 or 5, accompanied by very strong winds, excessive downpours, and a storm surge up to 15 feet. Rainfall could total 6 to 12 inches along and near the storm's path, including Tampa to Daytona Beach. Florida commodities that could be harmed include citrus, sugarcane, and strawberries, as well as ornamentals and aquaculture. Early next week, colder air fills in across much of the plains and Midwest. The colder air in the plains is quickly replaced by warmer air from an expanding ridge of high pressure over the western U.S. In southern Brazil, rainfall has been good over recent weeks. The good rains push into central Brazil and continue into next week, helping to increase the soybean planting that's 2 weeks behind. If central Brazil producers don't catch up, that could put a crunch on the second crop corn that's usually planted early next year. Northern Argentina has had some rain the last few days, while southern areas are mist, creating poor conditions for reproductive wheat and corn planting. More soaking rains are needed in Argentina to increase the corn planting and to benefit soybean planting that begins next month. With your check of ag weather, I'm Paul Perkins.